Hello and welcome to 90 and 90. Great pleasure for me to introduce a lovely lady that you might already know. This is Denise Holland. Lovely to have you here, Denise, on our 90 and 90 show. You are guest number 12, I do believe. So, yeah, not that I want to number you, but that's just kind of, not that I'm counting it down. So 1 to 90, but yeah, lovely to have you here. And I like your title, Simply Curious. That's what I have down here. Simply Curious, a gentle inquiry into the way we work.
Yeah, and I came up with that just this morning in terms of, being present and what will we talk about. And it is something that's been on my mind just recently, is being curious as to how come some people are called to this conversation and some people are not. And what does it take, therefore, for people to get curious about how it is we get to experience life? And yeah, that's what was behind this title, Amanda. So
maybe it'd be really nice for people just to know a little bit about sort of, where you are and what you do. And we first met a few years ago. I can't remember how many, but on Jack Pransky training in Albia, and that was lovely. We've been at many things together.
yeah.
You've come to Spain and we've hosted a workshop in the recovery centre, and you came to one of the retreats, the Love and Clarity retreats, and we've been on many trainings and all the Vivas pretty much together. And yeah, so it feels like it's been so lovely to have you in my life, and that's what this is about, is those special people that have shown up in my life, especially in the last 8 years. There's been kind of this sort of like this integration into this kind of, I suppose, a community, you'd call it, and it's been, there's a lot of very special people there. So I want to thank you for everything that you've brought, and all your little rays of sunshine. And there's a couple that really stick out in my head. That was in my mind. I think the funniest one, and there's been a few, but one of the funniest ones was, we were doing this a Find Your Voice workshop with Lisa Dandenel, the lovely Lisa from Denmark. And we, this thing where we all sort of sing a song and watch our thinking playing out. And I'll never forget you singing that song, I Can See Clearly Now, the Rain Has Gone. And you got really into it.
He's a good coach.
It was great, and every time I hear that song, like, I think of you. It's great. And so yeah, they were, hopefully Lisa will be one of our interviewees here, and she'll let us know. But that was we're about some special times, right?
Yeah, very special.
That's how I remember you. You're always there, the singing and the dancing. You're always there for the crack.
I'm up for the laugh. Yeah. And I love singing, I love dancing, and just having fun. So,
but you just tell us where you're living, Denise, and what you're sort of up to at the moment. And
yeah. Okay, so I live in the UK, and I live in Kent in the southeast. Lived here, all my life except for a 10-year stint overseas, and I did 8 years in Hong Kong and 2 years in Canada. Adopted 2 children when I was there in 1993 and 95 in Hong Kong. So now living here, creating a business, for want of a better word, or just keeping myself involved in life and loving every minute of it, wherever it goes. So I've worked with sports people for 30 years. I've been really curious about human performance in sport. And I would have been at the cutting edge of my game as the national coach for Scotland in my sport, netball, in the preparations leading up to the Commonwealth Games in 2014. And it's when I left that role that I became even more fascinated by human performance and how it is or where it comes from, and how it is that some athletes, some people get to produce performances through their physical body and mind in a way which just is unbelievable. So yeah, and I've continued to work with athletes. I work with a lot of youth people that are not necessarily athletes, but youth that are more troubled, and helping them to find a way to be in the world which is more gentle, and help them to suffer less and be their creative genius.
Wow.
That's what I love doing.
Be their creative genius. I like that. And have you done any of the children's training? Have you done any of the like iHeart or any of?
Yeah, so I did the iHeart facilitator training a couple of years ago now, and I love the curriculum. I love it as a resource. I love it as a way of getting through the door to be able to be with children in education. Our institutions are quite rigid, and I think it's really important for us to be able to show that there is something that we can, if you like, follow, that ticks all the boxes of everything that's already in the form. And even though when we get into the classroom, we can still show up really present to the moment and just be guided by the energy in the room. So it's a great resource to get into the school and to just have something there to guide us in terms of, there's 30, 35 children in a room. And there are some really magical things in that curriculum, which other people have been, that's other people's imaginative work, and then they get to share it. So, and we all get to input. So I love the iHeart curriculum. Also involved initially in the Sparks curriculum, another wonderful piece of work. So yeah, I'm loving all of this creativity that people have come up with to be able to work with the youth.
Great. Yeah, I'm hosting the iHeart training here in Costa Blanca in January. So so I'll be doing the course myself. I'm really, really excited, and international schools, so as well. So that's really exciting. So this simple curiosity, then, this this sort of enquiry, the way we work. Tell me more.
Yeah. It's really interesting, because one of the things that I've been thinking about is, how can I point young people in a sports lesson, all right, so as an active sports hall session, how can I be pointing them towards the truth of who and what they are as these incredible spiritual beings, able to perform. And if you imagine the session is just an hour and a half, and they have one a week, and then there's a game on Saturday. So traditionally, we've been really taught to really look at the technical and the tactical, and of course they need to be physically fit. So it's been really interesting to me to go, well, how am I going to get this in? How am I going to help them to start to see that this whole thing about human performance is fascinating. Like, nobody teaches babies to walk. Nobody teaches them how to find their thumb to suckle. It's part of this incredible design as an amazing human being. And I had in my mind, no, all you need to do is to get them to be curious about, how do you know how to catch a ball? So if you could throw them a ball and they just immediately put their hands out, like, how did you know how to do that? And then that starts the conversation of, well, let's get curious about this incredible design and this incredible intelligence behind ourselves, behind this body. And I did a very, very quick session in terms of just it was just 20 minutes, and it was almost part of their cool down. And we were just talking about getting curious about these intelligent systems behind ourselves. And they already know about the physiological system. They already know that if they have an injury, it heals. So there's this immune system. And then I just pointed them in this direction of getting curious about things in nature that happen anyway, and that we're not in charge of, and that it's not up to us to make it happen. And they were amazing, and immediately come up with, well, the sun is there every day. And all of a sudden they're thinking and pointing in a direction which is not about something that they need to make happen or prove, or there's effort there. It's just looking at what's happening anyway. And I couldn't believe it. Within 15 minutes, we had covered all of these intelligent systems, and they were already looking there.
Wow.
And I said to them something like, so who's making their heart beat right now? And of course they were laughing. No, they're not doing that. It's happening anyway. And then the next thing was their digestive system. They eat and fuel their bodies for fitness. And they could see that they're not on that. It's part of what we are and how it is we're designed. So, and then we got into the breathing and the respiratory system, and they're like, oh my goodness, yeah, when I really work hard, my physical body, my heart beats faster. Well, that's fortunate, isn't it? Because if it didn't, and it didn't pump the blood around the body, you wouldn't be able to do this. And yet we think we're doing that. And if we think we're doing that, then we must be responsible for the results of the performances we put out there. And suddenly their shoulders, like they're all relaxing off, and they're like, oh my goodness, so that's interesting. And then we got into, well, the other system that's happening anyway is our psychology. And the fact that we're just getting content and we're just getting these thoughts which give us a feeling. And I said about, well, so who are you really controlling your thinking? And they were laughing, immediately laughing. No, it just happens. And then at that point, there was this beautiful switch to, it felt like there was relief in these little athletes that didn't have to be responsible for the thoughts that came in their head. Just one little point of curiosity, and everything opened up for them. Wow. It was just 15 minutes. I mean, never mind the 10 sessions or 75 minutes for 10 weeks or however many. In one moment, and that's what I love about this, in one moment of curiosity, everything can be seen. Everything and nothing can be seen. And it was just beautiful. And I've been using this kind of pointing the curiosity wand as a way to quieten down and let's see what's going on as amazing geniuses, as human beings.
Wow, your little magic wand. I love that, the everything and nothing. Paul Morgan Summers, I think I heard from him, calls it neverything. Nothing and everything all at the same time.
Yeah.
And do these girls, are they all girls? Are they on the netball team? Is it all girls, or do you have a mix?
They were girls. Yeah, they were girls yesterday. I mean, I've more boys 1-to-1, but in netball it is girls. Yeah.
And how old would they be? How old are these girls that sort of, listening? Are they teenagers?
They are the youngest yesterday, it was a technical group actually, so the youngest yesterday would have been 11, and the oldest would have been 14.
And have any of them ever kind of after that got a bit curious, sort of afterwards, like Miss, can I ask another question? Have you noticed that any of them?
They get. I mean, that was the first thing I did of this group yesterday. So that's going to be interesting going forward. But in previous groups and previous conversations, you hear little pieces of their understanding, if you like, of how it's impacted them. So, for instance, for example, they were in a game and they started to get anxious around the opposition being way stronger than them. And one of the girls said, no, let's just play it. Let's just play it, see what happens.
Wow, nice.
And then they're starting to get into the exploration of what's possible through their physical bodies and minds, rather than be goal-oriented.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun, isn't it?
Yeah, trying to make the outcome what it is they think they need to be okay. Now, what I love about that is that the results that you get when you, if you like, come from a place of neutrality and you just explore and you just get curious and you just fall in love with the almost the element of surprise of what's possible, the results are amazing. And they seem to be far more productive than if we went after them, because we're limiting then our outcomes and what's possible to what it is we think is possible, rather than busting those boundaries of limitation to, well, I wonder what's possible. So it makes way for the unknown, as opposed to the human being and the human mind cognitively targeting a particular outcome. Let's see if we can achieve that. Well, what if that is limiting? What if that can be busted?
So if you're going for a 5-0 or you're going for a whatever it is, or, a draw, or we only need a draw, we need a draw to get through, kind of thing. So, and the game's different, right? I mean, that is when people are in flow, whether that's on the football pitch or on the on the tennis court or in the netball, the netball pitch. There's that. It's just happening. It's just in flow. It's a different experience for everybody. Those in it and those watching. It's like watching the birds flock together. Right. It's like that, especially in netball. I loved, I've got very fond memories of netball and playing as an adult. My netball teacher from school lives in my hometown in Javier. And here I went back to play and seeing it's a very different game, adult game, to what I remember as being a child game. Everyone was always quite small, so everyone was in school. Everyone was always like much bigger than me. Yeah. And it was like, so I suppose you have a lot of thinking about that, even just being on just things that you wouldn't, whatever I was, wing attack or whatever, it's like a safe position, because I don't know where these girls used to come from, but they were massive. So tall, and it's seeing when I love that what you're doing is just sowing seeds as well in the area that's just so familiar to you, which is in your game and with your guys, especially with the younger ones, just sowing seeds.
Yeah.
And I wonder, it's now that we don't realize where the seeds were first sown for us. So we go to this, might go to this event or this training or a seminar or read a book or watch a movie or listen to piece of music, and you have that kind of like, oh my God moment. But actually the seeds were sown. Yeah. One back with an auntie here or a family member there or something you read there. So it's not where we hear it or where it happens, although I think people believe that it is, because they go to a talk, let's say they come to one of your talks, So they're like, oh, you've really got to go to Denise's talks because, like, oh, like I had this amazing epiphany, and somebody else goes along, and it's like, oh, you know, and so it's not, is it? It's not whether it's on the netball court or it's in reading that book or it's on that retreat or it's there. It's what it just like, you know, triggers inside you. It's what just flips the switch. It's what wakes up. It's what lights up.
Yeah.
What remembers. It's like, oh yeah, oh, we remember again, and all of that's happening inside.
I love that. I love that, Amanda. It's and you know, it's not good to get into jargon, but I love that. You know, if we're all connected by the same divine intelligence systems, and you know, it looks like, you know, consciousness is living in us, but actually, from what you've just said, we can really see that we're all living inside a universal consciousness, a universal awareness, and we're living inside that. It's not living inside us. And it's no surprise that we all kind of connected, and like you see those seeds, they get sown, and then it crops up again, it pops up for somebody somewhere, and then somebody else is thinking the same thing, and then there's this beautiful connection. It's like, how did that happen? And the synchronicity of all of that is just beautiful. And it's just another piece of evidence, isn't it, that we're all just one divine love, one divine energy, and we live in these bodies, and we get to have this individual expression.
And I look like this, and you look like that, and anyone watching, you look like you, and it's like, we should just make the most of it, really, because you know, it's a gift being human, and it's a gift, and we get to play and dance and play sports and touch and cuddle and hug and dance and skip and read and observe it all and be the witness to it. We get to be in it and we get to watch it.
I know.
Cool, right?
It is cool.
We get both.
It is cool. And what I love is that I feel so blessed that I get to see that that's how it works, that that's what's going on, that there is an explanation, if you like, as to how it is we get to feel life. There is an explanation about all of these intelligent systems behind life, and that it's not on us. Like, we think it's on us to prove ourselves as human beings, and it clearly, for me, like, there's so much happening in us that's happening anyway, and that there's a perfection in that, and that we're always okay, no matter what's happening and how it is we're feeling in that moment. We're always perfect and whole as a human being. It's just we're having a temporary experience. And that can be, like you say, joy and happiness and beautiful feelings, but it can also be troublesome and worrying and cause us some suffering. But it's lovely to see that as soon as that goes, as soon as that thought changes, it takes the feeling with it, which is really lovely.
Yeah, I love the way Mara Gleason says, she says, you know, all feelings come from thought and all thoughts pass.
Yeah.
And you know, that's it. And this inquiry into how it works. Exactly. It's just the description of how it works. That's all we're doing, right? Just the description of how it works. And when we get to see that, there is a softening, for me anyway. There's a softening that even when I'm in it, you know, and like every other human being, you know, I can be quite happy clappy, but you know, I can also be I can also play my part in all those roles.
Yeah.
And when I do, they feel real, but not for very long, Denise.
I know.
I don't get caught for very long. No, and I'm truly grateful for that.
Me too. Me too.
So, with gratitude then, and a thank you, I think that's to say cheerio, and I'll see you soon. Are you going to Viva 2019?
I am indeed.
And I will see you there on
All
the.
going well.
Okay, darling, that's only a few weeks away, so I'll see you then.
I know. I'll see you then.
Okay, lots of love. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for being part of the 90 and 90.
And thank you for inviting me, Amanda. It's been lovely to share with you.
Yeah, pleasure, pleasure. Lots of love to you. Bye, Denise.
Bye.
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 Bye. Bye.